Well, hey there, everyone. This is Brian Cheskowski with Illuminate. Just want to give you a little introduction about what we're going to get into. So, having my lovely friend Steve McLean on the line again, and we're going to have a really weird, fun, playful, nonsensical, random, very confusing conversation. But within all of that, there's a lot of great, amazing conversations and questions for you, all based around a beautiful book, which we'll get into. And it's about changing your personal reality and questioning the reality that you're currently in and how you can maybe shift that in a different way. Well, anyway, without me yakking anymore, we'll get into it. But anyway, just wanted to give you a little bit of a introduction. Here we go. Well, hey there, everyone. This is Brian Cheskowski with Illuminate. I have my lovely friend Steve McLean over here. We're going to be having some lovely conversations on the Illuminated podcast. He's a reoccurring, I'm just gonna call you a co-host at this point because you're just a reoccurring human in my life and in this thing. So Steve's got some wonderful ideas that we're gonna be talking about. And I think I'll let him say it because it's gonna be better coming out of his than mine. So Steve, what are we doing today?
I think you called me, but on the spot. Let me see. Let me create a reality.
Ooh.
So today is about fully accepting the reality that you find yourself in, although knowing that there's a possibility of a much better reality just awaiting on the other side of your screen. And I feel that Brian and I both have created realities where we like each other. And that's a rare thing in the world these days, in the world of a cancel culture. So if I were to say, fuck off, I might find myself canceled, and then all the people that were listening to me on their computers stop and they decrease my subscription fee, and then I have to live on the street. Wouldn't that be a bummer? But
Well,
anyway,
that'd be your
sorry
reality.
about I had this conversation with this woman in the store just before I got home, almost late, but just in time. It was a close one. I still had time to feed the cats. But I met this woman in the store, and I said, I'm going to have a conversation with this friend of mine in Michigan, and we're going to talk about all the things that we've been told you can't talk about. And I don't even know what they are, but it seems like we've been told that we can't talk about anything that we think of ourselves. We can only talk about the things that we've been told are okay to talk about by our computer or our television. So, I don't have a television, and I only watch disc golf on TV. So I don't really, besides commercials, I don't really know what to talk about if I'm just using external means.
So how about we talk about our own realities then, and how we've been skirting the faux reality of TV.
So you have your own reality?
Yeah, this is a reality TV show right here.
Whoa, I love it.
I know.
I love it.
So let's maybe start with this. This is something we kind of briefly chatted about yesterday, and I think we can both living in two realities. I'm living in two realities. One, and this is real. One reality is that I live in abundance.
Like reality is a construct.
It
so
is.
This is his real constructed reality.
So this
and
is
there's
one,
two of them. It's the bipolar or non-binary, or it's what is it? It's where there's two houses in one building. What are those called?
Condos?
Duplexes.
Duplexes.
He's a duplex. He's a human duplex.
I'm a dual-minded individual.
Yeah.
Two realities happening in my head at the same time.
Yeah.
One reality, I'm living in like this abundant world where stuff just shows up and magic happens every single day, and I live in this beautiful world. And then conversely to that, I feel that I have to like scrap and gnaw and gnash for every penny that I need in order to survive in this world. Yet both are true, but yet both are my own perception, right? And so how is it that I'm able to live in like this beautiful free world and live in this beautiful land right here? Like this is kind of my backyard. And at the same time, feel like I don't deserve to have wealth and abundance in the traditional sense because of whatever story I've created in my own head. Right.
Yeah.
Even funnier,
That was funny enough.
oh, we're gonna get
That was
funnier.
funny enough. Just that was really
We're gonna get
funny.
funnier. We're gonna
But
get even
I
funnier.
can tell. I can tell
Yeah.
you're one of the funniest guys I know.
Ah! So I got this, I have created this story that I have a knee problem and occasionally likes to show up and challenge my ability to walk and ambulate in the world.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
So
you're gonna walk the
yesterday
dunes or something.
there was this dune climb in Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes, and I was afraid of climbing it because of the story I created on my knee and the ability to do so. Well, anyway, I had a friend in town yesterday, and she's like, "We're gonna go climb the dune," and they were gonna walk the mile and a half, whatever, to Lake Michigan. I'm like, okay, and I just surrendered to the idea. Well, guess what? We made it all the way there. I even ran up the first dune. Knee did completely great, and then the best part of the story, the second thing was, uh, I created this story that I don't like going into the lake when it's all wavy because it's dangerous and I might get pulled in, and whatever fun fear story I generated around
Yeah.
that. Well,
I think that's the ocean, but it's kind of similar.
it's inland ocean, but anyway,
Right.
regardless. So after hiking a mile and a half through this hot desert dune, I'm like, I
Right.
see this. It's like amazing. The
Yeah.
water is like
Yeah.
amazing, huge crashing waves. I'm like, I don't care. I go in this thing and I'm like giggling like a little kid, like letting the waves splash me, and I'm playing in the water
Nice.
and I'm just
Nice.
having a blast. And so in one day, in a matter of like an hour, I dismantled two beliefs that I had of like, I can't do this dune climb because, and I don't want to
Whoa.
go into water because, right?
Wow.
I
Wow.
know. And it's
Wow.
amazing how I didn't even think about it because I just was. And if I would have thought about it, I would have thought myself out of it, and I didn't, right?
Wow. Powerful story.
So
A really good one.
right? So
Yeah.
it's like, what reality are we wanting to create? The one of fear and fear and scarcity and hardship and blah blah blah, or the one of ease and abundance and flow and play and joy. It's just in the mind, right? Like flip, flip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what
And
are your
my
thoughts?
right. Well, that could have been one of my thoughts. And the thing is you should always start like a sentence with the words "the thing is," because people go, "Oh my God, I'm about to hear what the thing is." And I heard somebody outside sliding up and down the driveway, and I was like pretty sure it wasn't my wife. So it might be the people who are renting the house next door having a difficulty with the steepness of the driveway. But anyway, it was a mild distraction, and we're coming out of that distraction now, and and I'm trying to find how my face fits best, because because I don't want my head to seem bigger than Brian's, even though I know it is
Is much bigger,
on
Steve. Don't
some
worry about that.
levels. I know, and
So,
I don't want it to appear that my head's bigger than Brian's. And we
so
both
let's
got a caps on, and
we
he
do.
has his back like that. Oh, that's kind of. What do you think of that look? Is that a
There you
good
go.
look?
So
Oh, he's got
let's
yeah
give context to this before we get too far into
context.
this, because
Oh yeah,
this is going to be a series
focus.
of conversations, and we're going to bring in another person here apparently soon. Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
today, but the conversation is based around, what's the book called again, Steve?
Um,
The nature of personal reality is what is getting this whole conversation going, and this is what's budding this entire reason for us getting together, not just two adorable talking heads on your television screen,
and shoulders,
and shoulders,
head and shoulders above the rest.
knees and toes.
Especially him. Look at him. He's way above the rest.
How do you know? I mean, you could be higher in elevation than I am, Steve. We really don't know.
We know I'm higher than you are.
I'm not as sneaky as you dumb I am. Is that what you're saying? Exactly.
No, because you're right about sea level. But it looks like you're above sea level.
I'm much above sea level in this picture, at least.
How far?
In this reality, I don't know, a few
Yeah.
hundred feet.
Yeah, so I'm 300 feet. Are you over 300 feet?
I don't know.
So I'm just going to say then I'm higher than you are. but you could say because you don't know, and I do know. And that's a bit about what we might end up talking about today, because the thing about Brian is he's a brilliant conversationalist. Like, he's almost willing to talk about anything. And I am willing to talk about anything. And so between the two of us, we can go to some interesting places. And I've found over the last 4 years or so that there's been kind of a feeling that somebody or the culture or the whatever was attempting to limit what I could say. And as a result of not feeling limited, I was removed from Facebook, which, you know, when you get older and all your memories are stored on Facebook, they take it away from you. It's like having premature Alzheimer's. It's like all your memories are just gone, good and bad memories. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I feel so at peace. How did that happen? How did it happen that I got off Facebook and peace just filled my system? And I don't know if it was coincidental. But then, you know, with the extra hour I had during the day, I could actually read or walk around in the woods or actually accomplish things like fix things around the house, that kind of thing. And seeing that I had totally avoided civilization, except virtual over the phone, doing healing work, but I had avoided civilization for, 3.5 years, and found that there was nothing better that I liked than being alone in the woods on the phone with Brian. And so we would have these conversations, and I realized that if I wanted to be more brilliant, I should listen to Brian more, because he has all sorts of thoughts that are outside the box. And so yeah, and that'd be a rectangle, but I'm going to be okay with that being considered a box. And it might not have even been a rectangle. It might have been an octagon, whatever they're called when they're just like parallelogram. So you're confused already. So what I'd say about confusion is the only state where you can learn something. Mm-hmm. If you aren't confused, then you already know it. And if you already know it, then there's nothing to learn. And so until you can get confused, you never get to know something new. So our job today is to confuse you continually for the next 50 minutes. So you come out the other side, a brand new person, the same person, but like the same person, but in a different reality, which was your reality to begin with, that you were avoiding.
But light, Bud Light, but lighter.
But light.
But lighter.
Like.
But like,
Yeah.
but lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Older
So not
Budweiser. That kind of thing. Yeah.
we went from Bud Light to Budweiser. I love it.
Budweiser, yeah. And better than butt liquor.
Yes. Well, that's just profane, Steve.
Well, that's because you made it up in your mind what that meant. And then it was profound.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, that may be kind of a kickoff of a conversation. Is I wrote a text to a person and they wrote back what it meant to them, the words I'd written. And I wrote back to them and said, well, the meaning of the communication is the response it elicits. So for you, that's what it meant, even though it meant nothing near that to me. And so when we're communicating, one of the things we can do is to find, kind of attempt to discover if the other person actually understands what we're saying. Now, my wife, I won't speak about her much because she told me I can't, but she won't be listening to this, so I can on the way, but I won't say much. But my wife says, I hardly ever understand what you're saying. And so, therefore, she could be learning continuously.
Well,
That's a good place.
everyone has something to teach us. Everything, every bug, critter, plant, cat, especially, or human, has things to teach us. So,
or cats.
there we go. That one right there, especially that one.
Mm-hmm.
Something I was talking about in a class I was teaching the other day is this kind of tool that I amalgamated together. And if I'm feeling like there's the lack of congruency with me and someone else, I found a really healthy and clean way of clearing that up, which is, hey, Steve, I have a story in my head that something between us is creating a wedge. And I'm not sure what story I've created. So can I share my story with you and see what your reality is? And maybe you can tell me whether my story is right or if it's incorrect. Because
Well,
then sometimes
I couldn't tell you that, whether it was right or incorrect.
but to you,
Oh,
meaning
right.
like my
So I could
story
tell you if my story is different.
correct.
And whose is right or correct, probably neither of us,
But if we have
because they're both stories.
if we have different stories or experiences or
Yeah.
realities, we can share that and maybe come closer together, because then we can share what the difference was and try to come closer together if you're desiring that with someone.
Or we could expand and to include both the stories and then totally grok each other.
There you go.
Because even though the stories are different, they're part of the same larger story. That's another, just to think of the options. But that was a really kind of fun thing you said. It was kind of hypnotic in a way. I was almost in a trance.
And then with that, let's give the other nugget to kind of seed this whole conversation.
Yeah.
Is I'm sure Est talks about it, but I know Landmark does talk about it, which is the ultimate mind blow, which nothing means anything. We only live in our own reality created by our own history, our own beliefs, not necessarily rooted in anything else. However, living in the conventions of the society that we're living in. Exactly.
So I'm in total confusion. So that's really good. So I can tell I'm going to learn something.
And some people's mind go, you mean nothing means anything? No, nothing means anything. Whatever, whatever this cup means to me, it doesn't mean anything to you, but I create a lovely story around this mug and a convention around this mug, which means nothing
and
to
you
whatsoever.
create the story that it doesn't mean anything to me.
Right. But is that true?
That may or may not be true.
May or may not
That's
be true.
Basically what you and I are willing to explore.
Yes.
We're willing to explore the concept of truth, the concept of reality, and how reality is quite possibly a construct. So reality is quite possibly made up. And then we can move into the construct that we create our own reality. And I could say that I know it's true because I have a t-shirt that says you create your own reality.
Oh.
I have a t-shirt that says that. And so I could say, so I know it's true. And then you could say, well, you don't know it's true. You believe it's true because you have a t-shirt that says so. And then we get into the crux of the matter, which is limiting beliefs.
Mm.
So in the book that we showed you early on, the nature of personal reality, there are exercises to take a look at how we're limiting our reality based on our limited beliefs, not our limited number of beliefs, but our beliefs that limit our perception of a greater reality. And so I was woken up, or I woke up, who knows which, at 1 o'clock in the morning out of the dream world with just all these things going on, thoughts. And, so I said, okay, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's time to just let the thoughts flow. And I pulled up the book to read just a few words to see if there was something there. And it was talking about how the reality we create is oftentimes based on the limited beliefs we hold but do not know. So the limited beliefs are just so much a part of our reality that we don't even see them. And you and I have done this for each other, where we've pointed out things that we've said that the statement precludes the action taking place. I don't even know what precludes means, but it's a word that came to me and I like the sound of it, so I used it. But
Comes
I go,
before.
before comes before. And so we may say, oh, I'll try to do that. You might say, oh, I'll try to do that. And I might say, well, trying is not doing. And you can go, huh. So you may as well say, I'll not do that, because it means the same thing as I'll try to do that. Because if you try to do something and you do it, you didn't try to do it, you did it. So there's doing and not doing. So we do that with words with each other, where we say, oh, do you want to create that reality? Mm-hmm. And so I think this conversation is about creating reality. What reality have we created, which is the perfect reality based on our limited beliefs? Are we willing to take a look at our limited beliefs and find out if we want to keep them or not? And so when I woke up at 1 o'clock this morning, my mind was more active than it had been in months, and it stays fairly active. And so I started writing down just some limited beliefs. So you in the audience, the virtual reality audience, might want to do this. First of all, you might want to just buy the book. It's not very expensive, and it's the best book I've ever read. And I've done a lot of stuff over the past 50 years, like a lot of stuff.
You're looking good for 50.
Huh?
You look good for 50.
Well, that's 50 years of work, but I packed it into 27 years because I'm dyslexic. So I'm 27 years old.
That's
next
great.
Next year I'll be 37.
That's great.
So I'm changing my age by decades.
That's great.
Rather than by years, because years just are so slow.
They're irrelevant.
So I'm going to go 27, 37. I'll be 47. I'll be 57. Up until I'm 77, and then I'll be 77, whether I'm dyslexic or non-dyslexic. So there you go.
Sure.
So I just wrote down a few limiting beliefs. I don't know if these are good ones, and this is very personal to me. So don't listen to it, because I'm sharing a secret. So just don't listen to my secret. So one limiting belief that came into my consciousness was, I'm not good enough. And I know most of you don't have that I'm not good enough belief. Another belief that I discovered that I had, and I didn't know it was a belief, I thought it was an experience. But the belief was that I come from a dysfunctional family. Where'd that come from? But it was there. Here's the most powerful one. I think I might have shared it with you yesterday, but maybe it was somebody else, because I had 2 conversations yesterday. But here's kind of the crux of the matter that was the best one I've gotten to so far. I have an addictive personality. Did I share that with you? it was huge for me to go, huh, I say that about myself. Like, is that the reality I want to create, that I have an addictive personality? Is there anything I can think of I want to be addicted to? Honesty. Okay. Okay. So, but that's not maybe an addiction. That's maybe just such a choice. Okay.
Or awareness.
Or awareness. So it may be just a choice without an addiction, that you're just like to be honest, choose to be honest. Don't try to be honest, just be honest.
Brutally honest.
Brutally honest or kindly honest. And kindly honest, I like a lot, which is the way most people have been with me. They've been kindly honest.
And if you ever hear someone say, "Can I be honest with you?" It's a precursor to say, "I'm about to say something really mean."
Yeah,
It's really
yeah. Well, or can I be honest with you? I think this will cause you pain. They don't say that part of it, but when they ask, "Can I be honest with you?" you can make up that probably there's going to be some pain as a result of what they're going to say. And why not? Why shouldn't there be pain? Another limiting belief is, I'm an adult child of alcoholics. Is it a belief you want to carry around with you? Here's a few more. I won't give you the whole, maybe I will give you the whole list, but here's a few more. I have a family history of diabetes. And you could say, well, so what? Yeah. But along with that belief might be, oh, I'm just sitting here ready to be an alcoholic. Oh, I'm just sitting here ready to be a diabetic. I have a family history of mental illness. And you would all go, well, we knew that. We've already watched.
Too late.
It's too late. We've already watched 1 or 2 of your videos. That's not a belief. That's an experience. But a history of family with a history of mental illness. Money is the root of all evil, especially not having it is very evil. And eating of the tree of good and evil is the original sin. And that was in there, from whatever, a child lowering, I think it's from that. And then I have the belief in time. So those were the limiting beliefs that I had written, that I wrote down at 1 o'clock, between 1 and 2, 3, 4 o'clock this morning.
Can I respond to one of those?
You can respond to all of them.
Well, the one that I want to
One
respond
at a time, though. Yeah.
The one I want to respond to is the one on time. And I was talking with a friend about this the other day, around my ability to be in the present moment. And when I'm in the present moment, I'm happy. But when I'm not in the present moment, I'm thinking past or future, I'm not happy. And how I kind of said this more eloquently was, for those, here's a quick definition. Chronos is clock time. Kairos is etherical, non-existent time. Yes. So when I'm in Kairos,
I'm going to trust you on that.
When I'm in Kairos time, as my hand kind of comes and goes out of reality, it's be here now, says Ram Dass, right? It's being here in the eternal now. And there is no time. It's almost like this, what's the word? You're in time between time, right? There is no time. Like, wow, how did an hour go by? Or wow, how have we been here all day and only like 30 minutes have gone by, right? Time in between time. And that's when I'm here now in the moment, not thinking about what's about to happen or what just happened. When I'm in the Chronos time, the tick tock, that's when I'm suffering, and that's when I'm thinking about past, present, or what's not happy in my life, right? And so
there's a limiting belief right there.
Right.
You're looking at it right now.
Yeah.
So people out there in the internet world, all 3 of you, he's doing this right this very minute. Now, of course, when you watch it, it'll be right this very minute, which is amazing, because you might be watching this days later, and it'll be exactly now that you're watching it.
Now.
Whoa.
right now.
Wow.
And
Okay.
through the power of quantum physics, it's all
All of
happening
this
right now anyway.
quantum physics. He likes the big words. I love it. I couldn't explain quantum physics if you gave me a book about it.
It's all now.
But
It's all
I
happening
like
now.
it's all
When
now.
is it? It's all now. I feel like this
Yeah.
is. I feel like we're kind of quoting Spaceballs.
So how can you, and now you made a statement, so I just have to challenge you on the statement. Then how can you not be in the now?
I'm always in it now. But if I'm thinking about it or if I'm just being in it, that's the difference.
Right. But how can you not be in the now when you're thinking about the now? How is it possible? If it's always now, how is it possible not to be in the now? That's my question.
Because when I'm in the now and I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about past or future events. And
In the
I'm
now.
in the now.
You're
So-
in the now thinking
so
about past
basically-
or future events.
Right. And so my mind goes into this fantasy world where I'm not in the now. My physical something is
You said you're always in the now. It's
Right.
always now. So
It
how
is-
can you not be in
right.
the now?
I'm
This is
telling-
the challenge.
I'm telling you, through the fantasy of my
You're
own mind
attempting
and
to tell me.
daydream.
You're making stuff up
It is, but
to
this is true.
explain the two
So
different
the
things.
daydreaming, you know what daydreaming is?
Yeah, well, I think I know what
Yeah,
I know.
when all of a
about
sudden, like I'm
daydreaming.
thinking about something else and I'm not here now. I'm like in my mind thinking about something else, right?
But
and
how
so-
are you not here now? Are you
Well,
there then?
Yeah, I'm both. I'm
You're
both.
there
I'm
then
there
and here
then
now.
and here now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so what's the problem?
The problem is I'm putting more of my attention into the there then instead of the here now.
I think you're putting more of your tension
Tension.
into it.
I'm
Yeah.
putting more tension
Right.
into the there then.
Right. And that tension is
Pulls
what
me
makes you
out-
uncomfortable. It
out
makes
of-
you feel bad. It makes you make up the reality that you're not in the now that you're in.
And
I
I'm
know.
tensely thinking about the thing that I don't like about.
I know.
Yeah.
We've all done it.
Yeah.
We've
As
all
opposed
done
to
it.
when I'm sitting on this vista looking at this beautiful ocean, I mean Lake Michigan, there's just beauty right there. It's right there. There is no there then. It's here now. Right.
Yeah.
Unless I start
and-
getting hungry, then I have to start thinking about the there then of walking down, then getting food and the blah 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 blah.
Well, why do you have to think about it?
Because my stomach creates a stimulus that makes me go, I'm hungry. And then I have to
No,
like
but I'm saying, why do you have to think about it? Why can't you just stand up and just walk down and make a sandwich?
that's an option as well.
I mean, I guess you have to think. Well, you don't even necessarily have to think, though, that I'm hungry, because your body's probably giving you some indication that it wants to have something put in it.
Yeah.
And then you're making up that it wants to have food put in it.
Mm.
And then you got to make up food to put in it. And then your body was like, no, I actually had indigestion. And now
Or it
I
could have
have
just
it
been
worse.
thirsty.
Or could have just been thirst, because you have water surrounding you.
Yeah.
And your whole body is mostly water.
Or it could have been even
Wa-
more clever and I could have packed a
Yes.
sandwich and eaten that sandwich with this beautiful view.
Right. And are you telling me that you're hungry currently, and that we should take your computer down to the kitchen?
That's not my current reality, no.
Okay. I just checking in. Because I had breakfast out for the first time in well, as long as I can remember. I can't remember the last time I had breakfast out.
Breakfast salad?
Breakfast
Breakfast
outside my house.
Oh,
I
you went.
ate at a restaurant
Gotcha.
that I used to eat at from time to time, pre hysteria. So prehistoric time.
The prehistoric time,
So
yeah.
prehistoric time.
I like that.
And during during the middle of the hysteric time, I decided that people were scary.
Are we post hysteria or we're still in hysteria? Because I feel like we're still in hysteria, Steve.
Right. And it just depends if we're in a historical time or a hysterical time.
I think it's hysterical, personally.
I think hyster comes from maybe the uterus or something. Like hysterectomy, I think, is a removal of the uterus. So we're in a If we're in a hysterical time, that could mean that it's very funny. And you're laughing. So maybe you think it's funny that we're
I think it's hysterical. Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Hysterical. So we can remove that. We can remove that hysteria by telling you it's impolite to laugh during a time when the world is collapsing
And we're in
maybe
hysteria.
and never coming back from it.
So how is it the difference between hysteria and hysterical? Adding 2 letters completely changes the context.
Well,
Because Al apparently has something to do with it.
Al hysterics. Al hysteric? Hysteric Al. Ah, funny Al. Weird Al frankincense.
Al Borland. I don't know.
Al Borland. That name sounds familiar.
Tool Time. It was a television show with Tim Taylor.
And was that the name of the Tool Time guy, Al Borland, or was
That was the co-host of the Tool Time. It was Tim Taylor.
Oh, the guy who actually knew how to do stuff? That guy was Al?
Yes. Yeah, Al Borland
Oh,
actually knew how to
nice.
do stuff where Tim Taylor always broke
Right.
things. Yeah.
And he always wanted to make things run bigger, faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like
And
right
so-
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the present moment, I'm going to carry my computer. I'm glad they're not those big bulky things that you can actually carry it in one hand. I'm going to carry it over because you know who know, one cat wants to go in, one cat wants to come out. And, basically, if you're enlightenment, so let's talk about enlightenment. Okay.
Sure.
Are you willing?
Enlightened mints that are good for your breath, or a different kind of mint?
No, those I'm thinking about the ability to lighten up about your mints.
Okay.
And not necessarily get those unbelievably strong mints that are so intense. It's like eating wasabi in a mint. And what was I talking about? Who knows? And does it matter? So we need to ask the question, does it really matter? And Bill Murray answered that question in his movie where he was the camp counselor. And he felt the children who were always getting beat by the Aryan race camp. And these were the special needs kids. And every year at the end of camp season, the wealthy kind of, I don't know if they're, I think I might be cancel cultured by using the term Aryan race kids, but I'm going to use it anyway because, if people say I'm something, I only am that if I believe it, or if I am that, and I perceive that I am that. But if I don't perceive I am that, then people could say I'm something, and I can go, oh, that's interesting. You perceive that I'm something, and everybody perceives that I'm something. My grandson perceives I'm his favorite person in the world. At least he did. I don't know if he still does, but he's coming here in a week. So where were we, Brian? We were talking about
Enlightenment, and that turned
Enlightenment.
it turned into
Oh,
other
yeah.
things. It turned into kitty cats, turned into
Oh yeah, cats. So enlightenment is the awareness that the cats are our spiritual masters. And once you understand, like they knew it in Egypt, they said that cats were gods, and the cats have never forgotten this. And they're like, you don't treat us like gods, we're going to shred all your furniture. We're going to poop outside the litter box. We're just going to make your life miserable until you realize that actually you got to treat gods like gods, or they're going to treat you like humans. Okay, that's about as much as I got to say on that subject, but you're enlightened now if you have a cat and you pay attention to it. All right. This is called a pause in the conversation.
like kitty cat paws.
Pause.
Pause. Gotta love the pause.
Hit the pause button.
There it is. This has been a wonderful rambling of nonsense and also really powerful, potent conversation, all wrapped into one fantastic thing.
Yeah, depending on what you make up from it.
Whatever story you generate. We could be nuts, insane, or having conversation about nothing, and you're like, why am I wasting my time listening to this? Or you could say, holy wow, this is blowing my mind. I don't know what they're saying, but I feel enlightened.
Yeah. Okay, so on those words of advice, which are brilliant words, one of the things I want you, specifically you, to know is that you are currently in this moment perfect. And you will always be perfect. And if you choose to have more of an experience of your just inherent perfect nature, my suggestion is you take some time. You don't have to take a lot of time. You don't have to get a doctorate in the study of limiting beliefs. You don't have to do that. All you need to do is be willing to quietly go inside for a couple minutes a day and ask the question, like, what is one of my limiting beliefs? And then just write it down. And then take that one limiting belief and say, okay, I can see this is a limiting belief, that I have an addictive personality. And if I keep repeating it, I'm going to probably act it out by doing things addictively, like eating too much food or drinking too much liquids or smoking too much whatever, or running constantly, having to run marathons, and say, well, it's healthy, it's healthy, it's healthy. And it may very well be an addiction out of your perception that you're an addictive personality. And so from that perception that you're addictive personality, you have to prove it and do addictive things. So there's one. But just if you get just one thing out of this, is you're perfect to start with. Your expression of your perfection may not seem perfect to you. And if it doesn't seem perfect to you, it's probably related to your limited beliefs about yourself, which don't allow you to experience the perfection that's living right inside you. And that thing that we may call ego, that part of us that feels like it's got to be in control of our reality, otherwise it's all going to go to hell. So the ego has to process everything. And the ego tends to ignore anything that doesn't fit in with these limiting beliefs. So it keeps us rather small. So we have these small thoughts about ourselves. Oh, I could never do that because I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I don't wear the right deodorant. I don't have the right socks. I have holes in my socks. My underpants I've been wearing for 3 days. I just can't do it. It's just like, and we can do that. And I've done it. And I'm probably still doing it. I might be doing it right this very minute. So to make it simple, you're perfect, just totally perfect right now. And you might ask the question, why would I change then? And I would say, because you're not necessarily experiencing your perfection. You can just be perfect. You can have the most perfect car, whatever that would be to you. If you're a liberal, democratic, the weather's changing person, and you have an electric vehicle and in windmills around your house and stuff, you might have this perfect electric vehicle, but if you never drive it, it's probably sitting there in its electric perfection. But if it sits there year after year after year, it's going to have perfectly rotted tires. It's going to have perfectly corroded whatevers. You got to use the vehicle. So
what about my Aston Martin that's had an inch of dust sitting in the garage the whole time?
Aston
Martin.
Astral Martin?
Yeah. Or my Tesla, or my
sounds like
Lamborghini, or my
Ferrari.
Ferrari.
It sounds like a plane, though.
Or
the Astral plane?
My Ford.
The Astral Martin plane?
My Ford, my Chrysler, my Chevy.
Fixed on the road, found on the road daily, fixed or repaired daily, or
so
found on the road dead.
We're going to stop. We're going to change this for a second. So
Okay.
here's a shift in reality before we hang up this call for the time being.
Okay. Yeah.
Alan Watts says it succinctly, where we only think about
I
the
want
things.
to explain to you, he's going to tell you a rumor because somebody said something, and that's a rumor, and he's passing you a rumor. If it's not his experience, then don't believe it. If it is his experience, he wouldn't have to like name drop and say Alan Watts. Anyway,
It is my
back
experience.
to Alan
So
Watts. Okay. His reality.
if something is working perfectly, you don't think about it. Like I'm talking with ease. I'm not thinking about my voice. I see perfectly. I'm not thinking about my eyes. I'm hearing perfectly. I'm not thinking about my hearing until there's something wrong with it. Our eyes have an infection, our ears have an infection, which affect our input. And so, or our bodies, we don't think about our bodies until it's got something that's making it not perfect, meaning an illness, a disease, of whatever. So
Need to have a bowel movement, whatever.
whatever. And
Then we
so
think about it like,
if
oh,
you are operating in time and space and not thinking about your body, it's probably perfect because there's nothing wrong with it in that moment. And so be grateful that all of the things, your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, your digesting, your brains, your eyes, your ears are all functioning without you having to think about it. And how miraculous is that idea?
miraculous.
Miraculous.
It's a
'Cause
miraculous
we don't have
idea.
to control it, it just does. So yay for that. That's what I have to end on.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Beginnings and endings, and this was a beginning, and may it never end. I mean, this particular segment. Yeah,
I mean, we'll
it's
say
great.
goodbye for
Great.
now, but we'll
Yeah,
pick it
say
up
goodbye for
again.
now.
And
Okay. So I think he's gonna unhook us. Until next time, be perfect. But don't be
got-
judgmental about your perfection.